Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, joins us. 365 Sports, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, and David Smoak. It's been a while. I had a chance to visit with Mack in the studio back during the end of the year, but it's been a while. You guys can introduce yourselves. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. Paul, Craig, say hi to Mack.
Hi. I mean, I did when I called him. Yeah. You know, it was good. It's good to talk to him again.
Hey,
hear his voice.
Mack,
good. It's good to be with the three of you. I may have said that I've really missed Paul and Craig, but the other guy, can't remember his name. I'm not sure about.
Well, you're stuck with me. That's all there is to it. You are stuck with me. A lot of things to get to, and I know you have something else to do in about 20 minutes, another meeting or whatever. As always, the Big 12 schedule release. You have 4 games in a row against teams out of Utah and Colorado, kind of a unique twist. The game with Utah, of course, non-conference. Was there anything in particular when you looked at the schedule, popped out to you?
No, I think it's a good blend, and I think the sequencing of the scheduling, and just how far we're traveling, distance in terms of when you think about back-to-back road trips, the Iowa State, Texas Tech, the West Virginia, Houston, right? And again, this is the year obviously where we play 5 Big 12 on the road, but really like the schedule, with adding, the 4 Pac-12 schools, this game, versus Utah, originally, scheduled, stayed as a non-conference. And so I thought, that's certainly unique, but we weren't the only one. The Arizona at K-State is also a non-conference matchup, but I think great trip when we think about at Utah, Salt Lake City, and then you think about at Colorado, Boulder, but again, really like it. Oklahoma State I think is a great game for us, and homecoming. So all of those things, and then I certainly grateful to the Big 12 just for recognizing the importance of the TCU matchup. That's one of 4 protected. The others: Arizona State, BYU, Utah, Kansas State. But grateful for that, so that we get to play our friends. 80 miles, 90 miles up north of us every year. So excited about it, and again, 2 best teams, will play in AT&T for the Big 12 championship.
Mack, I know that this year, because of where Labor Day falls, that we have 2 bye weeks. But do you believe with the expansion of the playoff and the way the schedule in the future will move around, that 2 bye weeks might be here to stay?
Paul, it's a great question. I really hope so. I just think, when we just think about the physicality of our game, the number of games, again, you mentioned, 12 teams. So, what that means in terms of additional games. If you play in the conference championship game, right, then, also if it's not the 12th team, playoffs and then the bowl game. And so I like playing 12 over 14. I like the 2 byes, and I hope it's something that when we think about, future of football, and, as you all know, serve on football oversight committee, that it's something that we can be intentional about, again, in the future.
Mack, I think one of the only, complaints, if you will, that I've seen with the schedule release across the league really has been, BYU and Utah fans who are hoping that rivalry would fall on rivalry week. I know the Big 12's got their established rivalries and also trying to create new ones as well. But I was just wondering, given the timing could you go into just kind of the philosophy there on the part of the conference when it comes to protecting rivalries, rivalry week, just kind of where games are placed and the emphasis of all that?
Yeah, no, Craig, it's a great, it's a great question. And, obviously, you use a computer and you put in this formula, right, that helps to spit it out. And, I think it's certainly multiple versions before you get to the one that you like. And I think it's TV partners as well. And so I think just you're trying to navigate a lot of it. I can tell you, because I sat on, this committee of 4 or 5, athletic directors when we were really mapping out the criteria for the football schedule with 16. We really wanted to be true to, what are truly the protected rivalries. What are truly the games that need to be played every year. And then, how do you insert, again, really, we think about it, 8 new teams, 4 and then 4, and introduce, those 8 new members throughout the league, throughout the fan bases, them to the original 8, and then, the original 8 to the new 8, right? And then how do you begin to, formulate those new rivalries? And when you think about, specifically like the 4 Pac-12 schools coming in, still wanting, to be able to play each other, not every year, but trying to nuance that. So there was a lot of moving pieces and parts to this, and it fell out the way it did. And hats off to our Associate Commissioner Scott Draper, who really led the charge in this space. He did a phenomenal job. And when you're the person in charge of scheduling, when the schedule comes out, you end up having probably a lot of people not real happy, because everybody can pick out something that, hey, man, I wish this was different. But I think overall, I think we landed in a great place for the Big 12. And then, selfishly and specifically, I think we landed in a great place for Baylor.
Nikki Collin, when she arrived, was very opinionated about the fact that she wanted, this is before Russia or anything like that, to bring Brittney Griner back to retire her jersey. There's a lot behind that. Obviously, Brittney made comments about Baylor and the program back when she turned pro, but it's been a while. It's been a long, long time, and now you all have announced that you're going to retire her jersey. What kind of emotions do you think you'll see that night, and the fact that now there's an actual date where she'll be back in Waco?
Again, I wasn't, as you all know, I wasn't here when Brittney was a student athlete and played here. I will tell you, the conversation, within the athletic department, by and from those that were here when Brittney played, what I've heard loud and clear is that she was absolutely beloved here.
Yep.
She was one of our most beloved, student athletes. And, when you think about, now Baylor's been pretty dang blessed with some really accomplished, former student athletes, but I don't know that anybody could, rightfully argue that, Brittney is not, one of the very, very top. And when you think about just, her Baylor accomplishments, and what she meant to Baylor athletics and to the Baylor family, but also when you think about what she's meant to the sport of women's basketball, both nationally and internationally. So, we're excited to bring her back. I think it's going to be a great celebration and a great moment. And again, I continue to hear just how beloved, she was, when she was a student athlete here. And wow. I mean, you think about some of her accomplishments, a 2-time consensus national player of the year. And that's a really, really high standard. And, you win a pair of Olympic gold medals. So, and the other thing that I think we're all proud of is that, she finished her undergraduate degree in
Yep.
2000. And so, excited and happy and for her that she got her undergraduate degree. And again, I think it's going to be a wonderful celebration.
There is no Baylor top 2, 3, or 4, 5 list without her in that conversation. She's in that conversation with RG3 and Mike Singletary, among a couple of others that will be included too, and there's no doubt about that. And she was beloved and also treated incredibly well when she was at Baylor. Paul?
Mack, NCAA is investigating a lot of these NIL things. FSU had an agreement on their punishment, and Florida and Tennessee are getting investigated. We have talked about this before about simplifying the rules in that, because, when I read some of these violations, it seems like it's a super easy rule for coaches to break unintentionally, driving a kid to a meeting with an NIL collective when that same coach could go to that NIL collective the next night and have a fundraiser in front of, the people giving money and say, please give us money. Dropping a kid off seems to be a pretty minor thing. You have expressed interest in having the schools have much more of a direct say in it and control over and able to point things. Do you think that eventually they'll be headed in that direction? Because right now it seems like there's a lot of cases out there that the NCAA is going to keep investigating because these rules are pretty easy to break, and it's kind of chaotic.
Yeah, this has been something that has evolved. As you all know, and as we've talked about, in the very beginning, right. I felt like as an athletic department, we couldn't even speak about it really. And had to be really, really careful in terms of, what we said, how we talked about it. And it was really, hands off. And then, later it changed and said, hey, the NCAA said, hey, you can come in and now assist and help. And so I think that's what we've been doing, and people across the country have been doing. I think as you spoke about it, I think where is that line drawn? I think it's just a really hard space to navigate. And I would say that with the Charlie Baker letter on December 4th, the new NCAA Division I subdivision, and mention of name, image, and likeness. And then I think, along with some of the antitrust litigation cases out there, there's 4 of them currently right now. I think you're going to see name, image, and likeness even evolve more. And whether or not, the athletic department, the institution can become even more involved, and or, going as far as, hey, name, image, and likeness comes in-house. And so, you think about potentially like, our Bear Foundation that raises money for scholarships, in the future, now all of a sudden are we raising money now for student athlete scholarships and name, image, and likeness. And so, I think, again, in the next 12 months, you're going to start to see it maybe have a clearer pathway than what it does now.
Mack, Foster Pavilion has been open for a few weeks now, and it's a brand new building and still being worked on to some extent, but you got a few games now under your belt. What have been your positive and I guess even negative impressions so far, or things I guess maybe you've identified that you like or want to improve? Just kind of give me your feedback, so to speak, so far on what you've seen at Foster Pavilion.
Yeah, I think, again, with the Foster Pavilion still in progress, right? As you mentioned, Craig, it's still a construction site as we try to finish up the Allison Development Center, but also still some things within the arena portion of the Foster Pavilion. And I would say again, we were very intentional about wanting to play, the Big 12 season in the Foster Pavilion when we thought about certainly, home court advantage. And then, for both programs, and then, just thinking about, our seniors for both programs and giving them the opportunity. And so I think overwhelmingly it's been extremely, positive. However, anytime you move into a new facility, there are things that need to be tweaked and altered and resolved. And I think that, our facility staff and even our external staff, have done a great job of developing a list and of things that we need to, fix. It's like going through a house in a closing, right, where you've got a list of things that still need to be completed. And so I think that, we're certainly on top of all of those things, and we'll have to get to the end of the season to address them. Probably the biggest complaint, and no secret to you all, has been the discussion, the conversation about the camera angle, and it's been interesting. I've had people reach out to me personally that absolutely do not like the camera angle, whatsoever, or camera angles. And then I've had some reach out to me that they're like, it's fine for me, but it's something that we need to address. When we went through, obviously, the design process, we used an architectural firm that, was really great in the space of both NBA and college arenas. And, of course, they bring in a third party, and they do due diligence, a third party outside consultant when you think about TV production and camera location and angles. And so we went through that process. We even worked with one of our TV partners and their top production team in terms of, again, exact TV or exact camera placement and angles, meaning distance from floor, etc. The one thing we knew is that we were never going to be able to replicate exactly the Farrell Center, because that's such a horizontal building. This is a vertical building, and we were really, really focused on in-game, right? Fans on top of the action, and it being a very, very, very loud building. And I think that we certainly accomplished that. I think what maybe quite frankly surprised us is just I don't know that we, even going through all of that due diligence, the difference between Farrell and Foster in terms of camera angles would have been as pronounced as what they might be, or what some people certainly think they are. And so it's something that we've got to solve, and certainly we're working on solutions right now, but you're not going to be able to address that until the end of the year. So, but again, I think overwhelmingly it has been extremely, extremely positive, and people have been, really, really excited about the arena in general.
Mack, thank you very much for your time. Good to have you back on. We'll talk to you again soon. And are you headed to Orlando with the basketball team, or are you hanging around town?
No, Big 12 meetings at the end of this week, so I will be there, and miss you guys. And let's get some W's this week.
Yeah.
Women's basketball, big game Thursday versus UT, and men's basketball tomorrow night at UCF, and then Iowa State Saturday here at home, while women's basketball heads to Houston on Sunday. So let's get some W's with both men's and women's basketball.
That always makes people feel better. Any breaking news you want to give us now about what happens at the Big 12 meetings, or you just don't know yet?
But you know what? I'll text you while I'm in the meeting.
There you
How
go.
about that?
I will accept. I will accept it. Mack Rhoades, Baylor's Director of Athletics, with us. Good to have him back.